Good morning again. My name is Clarence Williams, and this is another edition of the trip to London. I did the first trip when we left the city of Jacksonville and we went straight to Atlanta and ended up in London by way of Paris. Now, this is the trip showing you what we experienced day 15, 16, and 17 in London. We actually stayed in London for 4 days. But because the video would be so long, I decided to do the end of day 15, 16, and 17, and then come back again at our next video and show you 18, which is the tour down the Thames River and also Windsor and Windsor Castle. And so with that, I certainly hope, trust, and pray that you enjoyed this video. Certainly I've had some comments. People have said that they have been to London, they are going to Amsterdam, going to Paris, and they found this video, the first one, so encouraging, and they could identify with some of the things that I was saying. And so I'm hope, trusting, and praying this is going to be so encouraging, edifying to you, and helpful, because you may be also planning a trip. And if you are planning a trip, maybe this can give you some information that will help you in your preparation and in your journey throughout Europe. So with that, let's get started. This is the trip again. The total of our London trip was from the 15th through the 19th. But because we have so much to share with you, we're going to break it up. So now this trip was generated because of the love and gratitude of Brother Armando Mamorel. From our very first meeting in 1998, he was supportive. He was grateful to our friendship. Now, many said, and I concur, when I did the first video, I said 1989. And they say, Brother Williams, you did not know Brother Armando that long. Well, that's true. I did not know him that long. I meant to say 1998. And that's when I met him. That's when he started working for me. And certainly we developed a friendship, a relationship that lasted for such a long time. He also became a member of the church. So Brother Armando was a great member, a great brother in the church. The trip to Europe was exciting. It was educational. The fact that both World Wars, World War I and World War II, was fought in Europe. And that afforded an educational history to some of the statues and the monuments. And you're going to see those that I've seen in touring these beautiful countries. Just in Europe alone, I'm going to show you some statues and some monuments that was dedicated, that was erected, sculptured, because of these walls and other walls that took place in this beautiful country. Although it was a blessing to have toured this country and seen many of its historic sites, I can't help but to be saddened because of the many lives that were lost by numerous wars fought on this beautiful land. And so with that, let's get started. Let's see about Europe. First, I want to give some special recognition. I want to give some special thanks. I want to thank Sister Tina. I want to thank her. I want to thank her husband, Eddie. And then I want to thank her sister, Lewis, because they met me and Sister Claire at the airport. They met us at the airport, and then they were so gracious and hospitable to board us in their home. And then also Sister Claire's niece, Sister Lai, and her husband, Manuel. Now, these people, they drove 4 hours from their home coming to London to meet Sister Claire and to meet me. And they picked us up from Sister Tina's home. And then they took us by the hand, literally, for 4 days and toured with us throughout the town of the city of London. And so I really thank them for showing us all the places, all the statues, all the monuments, including Buckingham Palace. And then they drove us to the city of Windsor. They drove us there. And then we went inside Windsor Castle. And then after that, they drove us to Amersham. And Amersham is a little town on the outside of London. That's where Conrado and his family lives. And that's where they deposited us there. Conrado then took us to the bus station. And then that's when we got on the bus and we went to Amsterdam. So let us look at London and see what's going on with this beautiful city. Now, this is us. We are now getting on the plane in Paris. Remember, in Paris, going to London. We boarded the plane in Jacksonville, but we were late going into Atlanta because of the storm that was in Atlanta. And once we finally got to Atlanta, our plane that was taking us to London had already gone. And so Delta then rerouted us and took us to Paris. And then now we are boarding the plane in Paris and going into London. Beautiful place. Here is Tina Luce, her sister. They took us from the airport. We got on the train, took us to their home, and then now we are out eating. And this is still on the 15th. We are eating. We just got there. We put our luggage down in Tina's home. And then now we are out eating with Tina and her sister. And then now we are back. This is the 16th. This is the 16th. We are now eating breakfast in Tina's and Eddie home. We're in their home. We are eating breakfast. And then at this time, on the 16th, is when I finally met Lai and Manuel, her husband. They had drove up from their home 4 hours. And then now they are there in the house with us. And all of us is in Eddie's home. And we are fellowshipping. And they are ready to pick us up and then take us to a hotel and then tour us for 4 days all around London. And I was so excited. In fact, we could not have did what we did without their systems. This is some of the places. Now, the Admiralty Arch, this arch right here, this arch is at the end of Trafalgar Square, going into what they call the Mall, which is a long road that's going all the way down to Buckingham Palace. So this arch right here is a beautiful arch. Now, it was under construction, so we wasn't able to go through these archways here because of this construction. You can see down in the lower right corner, they were doing construction on it. In fact, I just heard that they have finished the construction, and now it is open. So you can go straight through those arches now, straight into the mall and walk all the way down that long road, which is where they do all of those parades and everything, and people on both sides hollering at the queen and hollering at the king. And it's just a beautiful place, just a beautiful place. And this place right here, this is the Department of Business and Trade. Now, all of this is right together. The Department of Business and Trade is all hooked up right there together. Let me close this up a little bit. Achilles I think that's right. Statue. This statue is sitting right in Hyde Park, and Archery's statue is also called Wellington Monument. Wellington Monument in honor of the Duke of Wellington because of the many military successes that he had. This is a very beautiful statue as well. And you're going to see something else about the Duke of Wellington in a few minutes. Now, this is a statue of William Shakespeare. William Shakespeare. Now, a financier, Albert Grant, he created this fountain that you see on the right, and then he put a marble statue of Shakespeare in this garden. He put that in this garden, and that's a beautiful place. That is a very beautiful place. This is the angel of peace descending on the chariot of fire. Now, that's a beautiful place. Now, I told you, remember the Duke of Wellington, because the angel of peace descending on the chariot of fire is also in honor of the Duke of Wellington because of his victory at Waterloo. Now, if you know anything about Waterloo, I've been to Waterloo, the Battle of Waterloo, and I know about Napoleon. I studied it since I went there, and this is the guy that was in charge of the army that helped to defeat Napoleon at Waterloo. And Waterloo was the final battle that defeated Napoleon, because Napoleon wanted to be emperor of all of Europe. Can you imagine where the world would be now? I just believe it would be so different if Napoleon had won. You know, I don't know how differently it would be, but I just believe that if he was the emperor of everything over there, that things would be differently. But this guy, the Duke of Wellington, he is also honored in this statue, the angel of peace descending on the chariot of fire. Amen. Now, I took these pictures. We are riding on the tour bus. And so many of these pictures, you're going to see us riding on the tour bus. But as we were riding on the tour bus, I kept noticing all of these different apartment buildings. And it's just so many throughout all the roads that we went on, these apartment buildings. And you can see these four here. They're all different, but they're all apartment buildings. And it's for miles. It's for as long as you can ride. Look at these four pictures. You're going to see apartment buildings in each one of them. And the blocks of these streets are so long before you get to another intersection. And as long as you can go on that block, you're going to have these apartment buildings. And now this is the Elizabeth Tower. Now we know it as Big Ben. This is Big Ben, and everyone knows it now. Say this is Big Ben, but there's a history behind calling it Big Ben. The tower is Elizabeth Tower, and then it has a clock in it, but then it also has bells that is in that particular tower, and the largest of that bell, of those bells, is 5 bells. The largest bell is called Big Ben. That's the largest bell. But the nickname of this whole area, this whole tower, is simply Big Ben. And anyone you tell someone I've seen Big Ben, they know exactly what you are talking about. But when you go behind the scenes, see the history of it, Big Ben is really the largest bell that is within that tower. We don't care. It's Big Ben to us, isn't it? It is so beautiful, and it sits right at the House of Parliament, right at the House of Parliament. Now, I told you about the Archert Admiralty Arch. You go through Admiralty Arch, and you go right into the mall. And then this is the mall in the center. And you go way down this mall, and we walked all the way down this mall. And when you get to the end of this mall, guess what you get? You get Buckingham Palace. Buckingham Palace. And I'm telling you, when you get down there, you would be so maybe tired that you did walk that distance, but you'll be so amazed when you finally get there, and so glad you were able to make that journey down that particular walkway. When you get to the end of it, the first thing you're going to see is the Memorial Garden. Beautiful place. Beautiful place. This is Sister Lai and Sister Claire and myself, and then Brother Manuel, Lai's husband, is the one that is taking that those pictures of us. They were very helpful, and I just appreciate them so very, very much. This is now Buckingham Palace. Buckingham Palace is where all of royalty hosts the statesmen that comes into London. So if you talk about someone that has came to London, the presidents or whomever, this is where they go, and this is where they are being honored at. And it's a beautiful place. And once you get to the end of the mall, this is what you're going to see. This is another place, another pictures of it. You're going to see beautiful gates, and I'm standing right there at one of those gates, and it is surrounded. It is by a gate, so you just can't walk up to it. Someone asked me, Brother Williams, did you go in it? Well, no, I did not go in it. I even seen the soldiers, you know, how they stand there in such a statued position. I've seen a soldier standing there, and then I've seen that soldier move. Yeah, I've seen that soldier move, but it is surrounded by a gate. Now, Victoria Monument sits right outside, right in front of Buckingham Palace. Victoria Monument. In fact, when you go to the other end of that arch, where I told you about Admiralty Arch, it is said that that arch is also in as an honor to Queen Victoria also. And so one end has her honor in that arch, that Admiralty Arch, and then at the other end, you run right into a monument that is also in honor of her, and it sits right in front of Buckingham Palace. Now, Trafalgar Square, we're on the bus. You can see the bus down at the bottom. And this bus has taken us all around the city. And it also took us past Trafalgar Park Square. But we also got off the bus and we actually walked all around this square. This is a beautiful area. This area has 4 corners. And on each corner, it has a statue of someone. And then in the center of it, or pretty much in the center of it, it has Nelson's column, and which is a tall structure also. And just to give you a little hint, you can walk from here and you can go straight into Admiralty's Arch, which open right up to the mall, and then walk all the way down to Buckingham Palace. All of that can be done right there because we walked. I mean, we did a great deal of walking in addition to riding on the bus. Now, this is Chinatown. It's a beautiful place. Most large cities have a Chinatown. When I was in D.C., I went to Chinatown. In fact, I ate some egg foo young, if you know anything about that, when I got to Chinatown in D.C. Edith Cavell. This young lady is renowned for, she's one of the most renowned casualties of the First World War One. World War One. Now, interesting about her, she was in charge of training nurses, in charge of a training school for nurses in Brussels. In Brussels. And then when the Germans invaded Brussels, Belgium, I guess, she decided not to go. And as a result of that, naturally, she lost her life. But in doing her service, she is credited with helping Allied soldiers to escape, as well as would-be refugees, help them to escape. Recruits, help them to escape. I guess whomever that needed to get out, instead of her getting herself out, she wanted to stay there and help them get out of harm's way. And there's a statute that is in her honor. And what's so amazing about that, Sister Claire and many of the her workers that was working with her 30 years ago, they came from the Philippines as nurses, as midwives, because Brussels or Charleroi needed nurses. And here, this lady right here during World War One was involved in the training of nurses. I thought that was so parallel, interesting to me. Even during that 30-year span of Sister Claire, going back, they were still, Brussels or Charleroi was still in need of nurses. That just show you the importance of the nursing profession. Gladstone Monument. This is a statesman. This is a statement. I would think just a rich guy. A man had a lot of money, and I'm pretty sure he meant so much to what was happening over there. And so they erected a statue to him as well. This is so interesting. This is a steel, it's a horse head. It is called Stillwater. But this horse head, that's all it is, a horse head, and it is 33 feet tall. And we're riding on the tour bus and made a turn to go around because they have a whole lot of roundabouts in London and in Europe, really. But when we start going around this thing and I started looking and I saw the horse head, I'm looking for the rest of the horse. The only thing was there was the horse head. And it's just amazing how it just stands there. You know, just stands there, 33 feet tall. So amazing. That's a beautiful sculpture there. And then Henry Irving, a British actor. Henry Irving, a British actor. I have a statue of him. This one right here, Gaius Julius Caesar Augusta. Gaius Julius Caesar Augustus. He's known as the first Roman emperor. First Roman emperor. They have said he was the founder of the Roman Empire. Look how much history that is. Amen. I had to touch him. And then this big old wall that's behind him. This wall is part of the old Roman Empire wall, still standing. Do you know how long that has been? Augustus Caesar was emperor BC 27. BC 27 to 8 AD 14. And this wall is still there. This wall is still there. There is some rich history in Europe. Rich history in Europe. I know when you go to Europe, you want to, you're touring, you're having a great time, but there's so much history that is there. And it's be so unwise to go and to just tour without really getting so involved in all of the historic places, the historic monuments, the statues that you will be addressing when you're over there, taking pictures of all of these places, all these statues, and never really know the history behind them will do a great disservice to your knowledge and to your intellect. Nelson Column. Nelson Column. That's Trabanta Square. This is this square again, where you have these four corners and these statues on each one of these corners. And Nelson Column is standing right, I wouldn't say in the middle of it, but it's pretty close to the middle of it. And these are that Sister Claire with Lai and Manuel. And I'm taking their pictures while they are there. And the four of us, we are just touring. They're guiding us, and we are walking and trying to. Sister Claire, Lai have Sister Claire, and they just taking their time. Manuel and I, we are just walking, and we are keeping sight of them so we won't lose them. But it's just a pleasant atmosphere. And we did this for the whole 4 days. Very, very encouraging. Now, this is an equestrian statute. King Henry IV. It is on one of those corners, Trafalgar Square. It is on one of those corners of that beautiful square. And in fact, once we get into the next video, when we went to Windsor Castle, we went down a corridor, long hallway that has all of the kings and queens all the way down, all the way up, I may say, from to Elizabeth and also to Charles III, the now king. And so you're going to see that. You're going to see King George IV right there. This is a statue of this particular king. Now, Major General Henry Havelock, he is on another corner. He is on another corner of this beautiful square. And then you have Mary Poppins. Ever heard about Mary Poppins? There are a lot of movies that is made of Mary Poppins. Well, she is right there in a statuette form. Right there in a statuette form. I took a picture of this because these are beautiful. This is a beautiful park, a beautiful community park. Look how clean it is. How clean it is. I just was so impressed with that. We're drawing close to the end of this particular video, but this is the Tower Bridge. Very important history behind the Tower Bridge. Most people would call it, before it was named the Tower Bridge, it was the Bridge of London. London Bridge is falling down. Now, that nursery rhyme has nothing to do with the attempted destructions of the bridge. In fact, you would find in history that the bridge never did actually fall down. And so that nursery rhyme has nothing to do with it. But it does denote London Bridge. This was London Bridge. It is now called the Tower Bridge. The Tower Bridge. And it's called the Tower Bridge because the Tower of London is right adjacent to it. And so the Tower of London, what's so important about the Tower of London? It was the stately place for the king and the queen and the courts and everybody else before Buckingham Palace was built. And so the Tower of London is where they hosted everyone and where they showed their hospitality to dignitaries and everything. And you're going to see that. And this bridge, since it's so close, it was changed as far as its name, and they start calling it now the Tower Bridge. I thought they was calling it the Tower Bridge because it looks like towers. You know, you're going to see two towers, one on each end of it. But it is because it was close, or it is close to the Tower of London. But this bridge right here was built, listen, it was built by the Romans. Do you know how long that has been? It was built by the Romans. It has been going across the Thames River for a very, very long time. You need to go to London and you need to see this. You need to go across that. Now here you see it again. This is the bridge, and then you can see different pictures of the Tower Bridge. Look at this. Let me see, can I pull this up a little bit so you can see it? Okay, now this here is Queen Anna's statue that is right outside of St. Paul's churchyard, all right, in St. Paul's churchyard. If you can look down at the bottom, kind of in the center of this, you're going to see right there Queen Anna's statue. You see it right there, right in front of St. Paul's church yard. And I kept looking for it. I kept looking for it, and then I saw it. There it is. Now we are on the tour bus at this time. The Royal Marine Memorial. This is standing right outside Admiralty Arch. When you go through Admiralty Arch and you look to the right, you will see this statue. It is in honor of the Marines, the Royal Marines that fought in all kinds of wars. This is in honor of them. And then this is another statesman. This is a rich guy. His family was rich. He breeded horses to race, and he also raced horse. And so I guess because of his richness, because of his contributions or what have you, because of his family's history in government, they erected a statue to him as well. Now, this is if you see where I'm standing and what I have my hand on, this is a little write-up, and it's written up describing the middle drawbridge. I still don't know what that is. Still haven't figured that out. But that's what it says, the middle drawbridge. It also says something about commerce, trade, and so, but I don't see a river or anything flowing in that direction. Now, it may be, but I have not seen it as of the time that I was there. But we took those pictures, and we are standing there, and Manuel took my picture right there. And right behind Manuel, if he turned around, he will see the River Thames, because this area is right on the River Thames. And then if I turn around from my back, turn right around, I would look back and I will see the Tower Bridge, because it is right behind me. And then it got its name from, if you look up to the top of this, where I am, you will see the Tower of London. And that is the stately place where the kings and the queen was hosting and honoring various coming. This is where their home was, instead of Buckingham Palace, because at that time Buckingham Palace was not even there. And so when Buckingham Palace, I'm sure, got finished and built, eventually they moved out of this place, they moved there, and then this place became all kinds of different uses. A prison, yeah. At one time, it was even used as a prison. And then when Buckingham Palace got built, sooner or later, the interest just moved away from this particular place, and then it, wasn't being restored. I guess because it wasn't necessary to keep restoring it because they didn't have really a use for it, but it's still there. It's still there, and the bridge was named after this particular Tower of London. St. Martin Parish. This is also another place. When you come out of Trafalgar Square and you're ready to walk through Admiralty Arch or around it, because up in the left right corner, you're going to see right to my left, to my right, really, you're going to see those little flags, little barricade things. This is where they were renovating Admiralty's arch. And so we had to walk around it. And so we literally walked right by this St. Martin Parish Church. But you can see it for a distance, even when you are riding in your car or riding on that tour bus. You're going to ride right past this beautiful building. These are different streets as we were riding, either in the car or riding on the bus, just looking at different things. You see the descending angel on the chariot of woe. We're riding right by it. You see the bridge on the right side. In the middle, that's going across the Thames River. You're down in the right lower, you're going to see Big Ben. So all of these places, you can just ride right by them. And, they're just there. Cenotaph. Cenotaph is a monument in what they call White Hill. White Hill is a place, an area. And this monument was unveiled 1920. It was dedicated to the fallen in World War One. And then in 1946, they rededicated it to the fallen in World War II. And just as a little sideline, I don't know how many in World War II that was deceased casualties that did not return to their home land to be buried, because the cenotaph is dedicated to those that were buried pretty close to where they fell. And so if they were on the battlefield fighting and they died, then they buried them right there. And so the cenotaph is a memorial to them that were buried right there on the battlefield. And that word cenotaph is a Greek word. It means empty tomb. Empty tomb. Because a lot of servicemen that deceased or died were not able, their bodies were not able to be brought back and then properly buried in what we would call now our national cemetery. And so this is in honor of them. It's a place where now you can go and you can mourn. You can remember how many have lost their lives and are still out there on the battlefield. Even though they are buried, they are still on that battlefield. And talking about World War II, I looked up the casualties of World War II, and it is said that 60 million. That's amazing to me. 60 million people. This is just World War II that lost their lives because of dignitaries having a problem with each other. Now, there's always a reason. And then you also have to think about, not only do they get involved in the war, but civilians get involved in the war. The whole country is involved in that war. And during this time in Europe, you know, I mean, they were literally conquering territories. Germany was running through France, running through Belgium. You know, I told you about Edith Cavell. You know, when Germany invaded Brussels, she decided not to go. So their wall was literally right there at their home. You know, the United States, our wall was, other than the Civil War, is always abroad somewhere. We're sending people somewhere. But these walls was literally fought right there at people's home, in their homeland. This is a place where we went and ate, covered garden. It's a beautiful place. And then from this, you can walk straight to Chinatown. Straight from there. In fact, from this place here, we walked all around because we went to the square, we went to Buckingham, we went everywhere. We came here, we went to Chinatown, we walked. So all of this is in this area. Well, if you're going to walk, you're going to have to put some walking shoes on because there is a lot of walking. This is a House of Parliament. You can see we are on the bus, on the tour bus now. We see the House of Parliament, and certainly it is a beautiful, magnificent scenery. And I'm hoping and trusting that you will certainly go there and see it. This is the Royal Court of Justice. The Royal Court of Justice. Now, this may be our what they call it, Supreme Court. This may be the kin to our Supreme Court, and then Parliament will be akin to our Senate. Yeah, Parliament would be akin to our Senate. In fact, I have seen Parliament in action because they show it. They do it totally different than we do it, but you can see them disputing and passing laws and having great discussions in their parliament also. This right here, this is a monument to the women of World War II. A monument to the women of World War II. It also sit at White Hill. Remember Senator? It's right there at White Hill where this monument is right down from it. So both of them are in view of each other. This one is at the end of Downing's Creek. And it is in tribute or in honor to over 7 million women that were actively involved in that World War II. Not all of them were, military. It says 650,000 of them joined the military, but there were so many other women that was involved in that particular war that was not directly in the military. Churchill called, "Let the women come forward." The idea being that women left their normal lives to fight for survival in any role that was necessary. Wherever they were needed, they were there to fight. Over 7 million. And then I told you, if I didn't, I'll tell you now, the casualties of World War II, the most that have ever been recorded in the 20th century. World War II, 60 million, 60 million lost their lives. That's an astounding number. That is an astounding number. I can't imagine that 60 million people lost their lives. And so when I see the Senator and when I see this memorial to the women of World War II, I can't help but be saddened, Yeah, I've seen all of the other statues and amazements and the sculptures and the places and everything, and I'm so excited. But this brings a totally different experience when you go to here, House of Parliament, riding. Now, the House of Parliament, you can get into the Thames River, and the House of Parliament sits on the north bank, the north bank. And so if you're looking at this picture here, then the Thames would be on the south side, on the left side of this picture, and the House of Parliament would be on the right side. And then if you turn and look all the way across the river, you're going to see the eye. You're going to see the great eye. And so here's more pictures of the House of Parliament. House of Parliament, we're still riding, still riding. Now we're ready to make that left turn because we're on the north side of the Thames. So we're ready to make that left turn and go across Westminster Bridge. Westminster Bridge. I've already told you at least 3 bridges. I told you about Westminster now, the Tower Bridge, and London Bridge. There are 35 bridges in London that goes across this great river. Now, this river goes over 200 miles, so there's a lot of bridges that goes across it. But I'm just talking about in London. There are 35 bridges that goes across. This Westminster Bridge is right there at Big Ben. Right there at Big Ben. I mean, if you turn around on this bus and look backward, you will see Big Ben. We're looking forward. We see the eye. We see the lions that's on the end of it. And then on the beginning of it, you're going to see chariots. Beautiful, beautiful bridge. Another very famous bridge. This is a very famous bridge. More pictures of it. More pictures of it. You're going to see the lions, going to see the eye getting closer to you because now we are going on across Westminster's Bridge. And then here, once you get across it, now let's go back one time. This is Marriott. This is Marriott right here, the lower left, the lower right. That's Marriott. That's a hotel. That's the Marriott Hotel that is sitting right there. Now you're talking about wanting to stay in there. Yeah, get you some money. You want to stay up in there. That is sitting right there at the bottom of the Westminster Bridge. And then across from the Marriott, you're going to see St. Thomas Hospital. And St. Thomas Hospital is a teaching hospital. And so they do great work in London. Now we are on the South Bank. We're on the South Bank, and we're getting closer now to the eye because the eye is located on the South Bank. Right in front, not in front of it, but we pass it right adjacent to the eye is a statue of a golden eagle sitting up on top. And then this is a statue also to servicemen. All types of servicemen is listed on this particular statue in honor of them. You still see the eye. Now, if you're looking at the eye now, this picture is taken again on the North Bank, and the eye is on the South Bank. And if this guy turns around, he's going to see the House of Parliament, which is right behind him. Now, if he looks straight ahead, guess what he's going to see? He's going to see Big Ben. He's going to see Big Ben looking right there. And I've already told you what Big Ben is. This is Elizabeth Tower. Big Ben is not the clock. Big Ben is the largest bell. There's 5 bells. Big Ben is the largest bell that is within this tower. And nicknamed. The whole thing is just Big Ben. Another Parliament scene. Beautiful park. Beautiful park. Also, some more of Parliament. We are now looking again at Parliament. Now we are getting close to the end of this particular video, but we are now on the river. We are on the Thames River. We are now touring the Thames River. On the next video, you're going to see that tour. You're going to see that tour. But we're going to stop the video here and then pick it up the next time and show you day 18th and day 19th in Europe before we go to Amsterdam. But look behind us. You're going to see the Tower Bridge. Now, if you look at the Tower Bridge, that's why I said, I thought it was because of these two towers on the thing. But no, it is because of the Tower of London, the house of the king and the queen, where they were doing honoring and hosting dignitaries that was coming before Buckingham Palace got built. And right in the center right here, this bridge, these gates, these parts of this bridge lets up like a butterfly. It opens up to allow ships to pass through. This is some more pictures of us being on the Thames River. That's another picture of us being on the Thames River. And again, from the Thames, you can see a whole lot of these places that we just talked about in this video here. Again, this is the end. Hope I have said something, shared something, showed you something that is of interest. Maybe you have more now that you can information that you can take with you when you do go to London. Now we had the advantage of having Sister Claire's niece and her husband's Manuel with us. And so they toured us. They took us around. And so if you're going to go there and someone, it is so valuable to have that. But if you're going there and you don't know, anyone, then, to do what we did, I don't know. It's going to be kind of hard, especially, well, you may have some money, but that's pretty much what you're going to need if you're going to go and do that. Someone asked me the question, Brother William, how much? You can't put a value on that. You can't put a value. How can you put a value on hospitality? On someone that drove 4 hours to get there and then gave up their time, their effort, and part of their money. Because when we did go out to eat, sometimes they paid for it. We went into Windsor, they bought the tickets for us. They drove us around, their gas, their time, their effort. So you can't put a value on that. So I can't say how much. I do know how much, we spent out of our pocket to some degree. We know how much the hotel costs. We know how much the bus costs or what have you. But the rest of that is just praise the Lord, and it is because of the generosity, because of the love, because of the concern, and just the state of their heart that they were willing to do that. So I can't answer the question of how much money you're going to need. I know if you don't have the contacts that we had, you're going to need a whole lot. You're going to need some money to do what we did, because we could not have did that without Sister Tina and her family, Ed, her husband, and her sister picking us up from the airport, housing us in their home, feeding us breakfast in the morning, and then La and her husband, Manuel, coming, picking us up in the car, taking us to a hotel, and then touring us all around, either on the bus or just walking. They were even on the boat with us, which you will see at the next video. So, and then you're also going to see at the next video taking us to Windsor. I thought Windsor was Windsor Castle. I didn't know Windsor was a town. You know, I said that uh, we had been to 13 cities, but I found out when I started looking at the many pictures that and doing the history, Windsor is a town by itself, and then within that town is Windsor Castle. And then in Rome, we left Rome, and they took us to a town called Tivoli, and it's way up on the mountain. And so it's more than 13 cities. We went to at least 15 cities, still 6 countries, but about 15, 15 cities. So we really had a great time. Hope you enjoyed this. I hope that something was said and something was presented, some history that will interest you, and you will go and just get some more information about it. If you like the video, hope that you subscribe. I hope that you will share it with someone else. Maybe they are ready to make a trip or what have you. Or maybe someone just interested. This student is studying this in school, and they need to see this video. Or you've seen other videos and you send it to those people. Whatever, help me. I think that would be a great thing. Just help me get the word out, get the message out, get the information out. Amen. And so just share it, subscribe to me, help me get that 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. I think that would be a great thing as well. With that, I thank you so much, and I look forward to coming to you again on the next video. Don't know when it's going to be, but give me time to do my history, do my understanding of what it is that I would be showing you, the pictures that I've taken. And I'm hoping that when I come to you, I will be able to enlighten you from a truthful standpoint of view based on the reality